Hi guys, just a quick video tutorial on how to create a border around your photographs. In this example, what I'm going to talk you through is how to add the white background, the thin line and a bit of text on it. This was a photo that I took down in to.The down in Cornwall using case filters and a Fuji X-T2. So after this tutorial, you should find that using the techniques in here you can pretty much customize this to however you need to, or to your tastes, different colors, different backgrounds. Obviously the text can be changed, so follow through, give it a thumbs up if you find it useful in the day, and we'll go from there. So this was, as I say, the photograph that I took down in to.The. If you ever get the chance to go down there, it's a stream that runs through Hidden Valley, several waterfalls down there, so it's a photographer's dream. So what we're going to do is firstly is to create a blank document. Depending on the size of your photos, the paper size will need to fit on there. So what I've done is I created a couple of presets. So what I'm going to do first is just create a new document. There's one here that I've saved, so it's going to be an A2. I'll put all the dimensions of A2, A4 and A3 up at the bottom of the screen now, so you've got them. So once we've selected the paper size on there, we need to select the orientation. So in this case I want portrait. Left resolution at 240 and 16-bit, because that's what the photograph that I've done is as well. So we'll create that and we'll end up. Now that we've created our blank document, it's not been saved yet, so it's come up as untitled, RGB 16-bit at the top here, and down on the right under our document we've got a lock layer of background which is white. If you want to change the colour at this point, you can come down, select on the presets here and go up to solid colour, and as you can see there, you can use the mouse pointer to drag it around and set your colour, or you can also enter in your colour over here. For this example though, we're just going to leave it white for the moment, so we'll click OK, and just going to remove that just so we end up back at the square one. So now we've got our blank canvas there. We've got this is basically going to be the background, if you think of it as the paper that we're going to add the image and the other stuff to. We're going to come back to the photograph that I want to use of the stream, and I'm going to come down here to the layer that's got the final version of this photo. I'm going to use the left mouse button and I'm just going to drag it so it hovers over the untitled and then drop it down onto the page. Initially it won't be centered, so we can use a few Adobe tricks on there. We can hold the Alt, Control and spacebar down to bring up the zoom out button, and then clicking the left mouse button we can zoom out on the picture, and then using Control T we can select that image so we can drag it around, and at the moment as you can see it's too big for the paper, so we need to resize it. If we just grab a handle here and pull it in, it's going to lose the perspective, but if we hold the shift key down as we do it, it will maintain that perspective, so we can drag it down so that it appears on the paper, and then we can just center that image. I'm going to put it slightly at the top there because I want some text at the bottom on this particular example. So we can see that purple lines there have aligned it in the center, so it does the work for you. And then just release, and over on the layers panel here you can see we've got the white background we set up, and then over here on the right is the image that we've dragged in and resized over here. So press enter, and then that will position that photo into or onto that white background. Now at this point it might be all you need, so you might not need to add anything extra, but so for this example we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to add a line around it, add a bit of text on there, and also a drop shadow. Okay, first thing we're going to add is the drop shadow to this image. At the moment, again, it's sitting slightly small in here, so another quick shortcut key in Adobe Photoshop. If you do Control-0, it will bring the image back into the full screen of the window there. Then we need to make sure that we've got the final layer selected. We'll come down to the FX control down here and click, and then just select drop shadow. This is going to bring up a layer style box. It's got the drop shadow at the top there, and you can adjust this again to your taste. I've chosen black. There's a bit of opacity on there because I don't want it fully black underneath. If we put it right up, so it looks a bit strange, so we just reduce that. And then the angle, you can adjust this so that it changes the drop shadow around your page. So leaving about 139 there, you can see that it's brought it just at the bottom here. You can adjust the distance of that, how far it travels out, and the spread and the size, etc., to your taste. Once you're happy with it, the colour, etc., then just click OK, and then you'll see over here under the effects that the drop shadow has been added to that final picture. If you want to change it any time, just double click the drop shadow, the box will appear there, and you can adjust it as you require. Next thing I'm going to add to this photo is a very slim borderline that runs around the outside of here. On this one, we're going to select over here on the left hand side the rectangle tool, and up the top here we've got the options for it. The fill's not going to be used because otherwise we'll just end up in this case with a black square, which I'll show you, and then the stroke will be the line that runs around the outside. So we can choose the colour again on that, and then over here we can choose how wide that line it is. You can also choose the type of line, but for this example we're just going to keep it with a straight line. So we come down to the rectangle tool, I'm going to come here and select it around image to about there. Again, I've left a bit of a space at the bottom because I want to add some text on there just to show you how to do that. And then once we've got it roughly in the center, again with the purple line shows us that it's there, we can release the mouse button. As you can see at the moment, because the fill is black, it's just put a big black square over all of our work. So the way we come around that is we click on the fill color across to the white line here, which basically means we don't want anything, so no color, and then that's brought back our picture. And at the moment the straight line color, I'd like it a little bit lighter on there, so I'm just going to pick from here 45% grey, and then it's a little bit thick for my liking, so just going to reduce that down a little bit to around about 6 pixels. And then if I come down here and just click on a different layer, I can see the effect that I've got on there. Now sometimes you get it wrong and you want to change it. If you want to change the position of it, if you hold down Control and T, it will highlight it, and then if you use your Shift key you can just adjust it and place it where you need to on there. If by press enter just to save that. If you need to change the design of it, come back over here, select the rectangle tool, and up here again you can then adjust the size of that rectangle. So the next effect I'm just going to add onto here is a little bit of text. It could be a bit descriptive, it could be where you're taking the photograph, it could be your name. Just for demonstration purposes here, we're going to call it Cornish Stream, just after the place where it was taken. So I'm going to come over here, select the text, and over here we're going to put it roughly where we need to go. We'll adjust it a little bit later, so we'll click and then we can start typing. Into the text box. If you click enter, it will then save it. Sometimes when you're typing, if nothing appears, you might find that the colour of the font is set to white up here. And if you need to change this text at any time, just double click it to make sure it's selected, and then you can then adjust the colour. Set it back to a grey colour. You can adjust the font type down here also, which I'm not going to change at this time, and also the size and the location, so it's all fairly customizable. To centre it onto the page, we'll come back up here to the cross with the arrows, and we'll select it, and we'll just drag it so that we get the purple bar up here. That tells us we've got it centered, and then just adjust it to where you wish it to be. Now at the moment the line runs through the text, which is not really ideal, so the next thing we'll look at is just a way of getting around that. Okay, so the technique that I use to remove the line behind here is basically to create, using the rectangle tool, drawing a box around it, just allowing each side of the letters to be approximately the same. And you see at the moment it comes up as a black box on there, so I need to come back up, change the fill to white, and then we'll just set the stroke to nothing because we don't want a borderline around the outside, and then we'll just click enter on that. At first it doesn't look like it's done it, but when you come over to your layers here, which is always very important with Adobe Photoshop, is to think of it as tracing paper as the easiest way. So our rectangle at the moment is on the top of the stack, so we need just to bring these down so that they fit in the correct order. So we want now our text on top of the rectangle too. So we've got our background or rectangle line that goes around the outside. We then positioned the white rectangle over the top of that line, and then on top of that we've now got the text that we've added, and as you can see it's giving you that line break in there. So there we go, that's a very quick tutorial on how to create some additional effects for your photographs as we've looked through. As you can see, once you know the means of creating these, you can customize it to your heart's content and change it to whatever you feel suits your photos the best. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up if it was useful to you, and maybe I'll try and do another one in the future for a different subject. That's all for now. Thanks guys.